So this winter I've been focusing on guiding and also preparing for American Mountain Guides Association ski guides exam. That's the last of 3 courses I'll do for the ski discipline for the AMGA.
And how much work, just in terms of preparation, do you put into getting ready for that exam?
Yeah, in preparation for my ski exam, I've got probably 2-3 weeks of prep to go. I'm going to start by poring over maps, Google Earth images and all that stuff. What we're going to do in this course is build basically a run list for the Pemberton, Whistler area. And that just helps us, in a guiding application, it helps us evaluate weather, snow conditions, and then we're able to just select runs that we've already pre-cataloged basically. And so a big part of the course is prepping that way, being familiar with the zone that you're going to you know, take your exam or potentially guide in, and then I'm going to go up to the site beforehand. There's a few drills that they're going to put us through as a final exam, and so I'll practice with the other examinees, and we'll all get together, you know, going into the alpine areas and making sure our research is right, and then practicing those skill drills. And then this exam itself is 8 days long, pretty intense. There's 2 examiners from the AMGA, and they're both really accomplished guides and athletes in their own rights. But it should be fun. Yeah, I've worked with both those guys before, and they're great.
Great. Tell me something interesting about the Fairy Meadows trip.
Oh, that was crazy. Yeah, it's the second time I've gone up there, and we get like a provincial-wide avalanche warning on CBC radio as we're driving up. So and I had that same experience last time we went there, and yeah, just this winter's been low tide.
Yeah.
And
what was the shuttle like getting in and out of there?
it was cool. Yeah, we flew a couple really big ships. So we flew a Bell 212, which I've never flown in before, and that's like a Huey, basically. Yeah, pretty cool helicopter. And then on the way out, actually, these guys were coming in. You're supposed to unload your own stuff, and then what we would do, going back to our cars, is we'd load up our gear. Somehow they got all mixed up, and so in the air, we got a radio call from the hut, like, "Hey, we don't have all our bags," and those guys are going to be there for a week. And I was talking to the pilot on the headset, and he's like, "I've never heard of this before," so we were potentially going to have to fly back and drop off the bags at, you know, $5,000 an hour or something like that. So anyway, the pilot and the incoming, there's 2 helicopters, so we met up in the middle of nowhere, landed in the middle of this meadow, and started swapping bags with helicopters spinning. It was pretty wild. I don't even know who's going to pay for that in the end, but somebody's going to get a bill.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So back to the guiding exam real quick. So how long is it taking you to get to this point in the guiding certification process?
I started the ski certification process 4 years ago, and you have to do a couple things in the middle of your ski courses with the AMGA. You have to take an avalanche level 3. I did mine in Jackson Hole, and did a first ski guides course in the Sierras with the AMGA, and then did another one they call the Aspirant exam. So it was a middle course exam, and did that in Valdez 2 years ago. And then last winter just focused on sharpening up the skills and actually, you know, working as a ski guide at that point. And then so this winter, yeah, is the final exam. And yeah, it's been a long road, but it's a really cool thing. And you know, I've been a mountain guide for a long time. In the U.S., we don't necessarily need a certification process, but I really valued all the experience that I've had. Meeting other guides and the instruction that I got as well. It's been great.
Yeah, that's great. So just in terms of, you know, it seems like a lot of guides out there guide mostly, you know, alpine or ski.
Mm-hmm.
You know, having the combination of the 2 certifications, do you think that's going to open up anything different for you in terms of a guiding path going forward?
Well, actually, you know, I haven't done the AMGA alpine stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just I feel like the ski discipline will open doors where if I wanted to go to work in Europe or here in Canada, I think the full you know, the current way people describe it is you get your full mountain guide basically it's like a license in Europe, certification in the U.S. And for me, I'm working in North America and internationally where that certification is not recognized. So the Alpine certification didn't really seem important to me career-wise. Monetarily, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But the ski portion really does. And ski guiding, I think, is a lot more complex. It's a lot faster. It's you can get into, you have more clients typically, and yeah, you're traveling at a higher rate of speed, obviously. And so I really value that training that I've got through the MGA.
Just in terms of some of the trips that we've talked about in the past, give me a quick recap on 3 of the biggest ski mountaineering trips that you've done.
In my life,
yeah.
Ski mountaineering trips that I've done, the ones that were the most memorable for me did a trip back in 2008 to the Republic of Georgia. And it was right before they had their big flare-up with Russia, and yeah, that's all that Russia stuff's in the news these days. So I've been thinking about that a lot lately. That was a great trip. We put some first descents in the Caucasus. Met a lot of really cool people along the way, and then skiing Denali. That had been a goal of mine for years. So in 2009, I did that, and a few years ago, did a trip with my wife and a good buddy of mine, a photographer, Jim Harris, who's now a good friend, and we skied Waddington and a bunch of other peaks in the Waddington range there, and that I couldn't imagine having a better trip. That was like perfect weather the whole time.
That's great.
And then always, Mount Rainier. I love that mountain. It's a big lump of horrible rock covered in snow and ice, but it's it's my home mountain. I really love that one.
So what just in terms of ski mountaineering trips like that, what element of those trips do you get into the most?
I like the adventure, going to a place I've never been before, and I've been lucky enough to be able to go to some really remote places. Denali, I guided there a bunch, so I was pretty familiar with that one when I went, and that's a more social scene on the West Buttress route. The one we climbed up. I have friends there, and it's not a party atmosphere because it's still remote mountaineering in the middle of the Alaska range. But yeah, we partied up as much as we could. That was super fun. And then traveling to these far-flung areas across the globe.
So tell me a bit about the China trip that you have coming up.
Yeah, so we're trying to plan a trip this summer to Mustagata. It's a 7,400 meter tall peak in China, in Xinjiang province. And it's skied a lot. It's commonly skied. The cool thing about that one is you can potentially skin all the way to the summit. So I'd be really interested to see what that's like, skinning up to 7,400 meters. It's like 25,000 feet. That should be pretty cool. And just checking out the local culture there. The Uyghur people are, they're not ethnic Chinese. They're their own deal. And it's very close to Kyrgyzstan. So it's a part of the world I've never been to, and I would really love to check that out. And there you can drive almost straight to base camp. Photos from the mountain, and you can see the road way down the valley. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Logistically, it'll be pretty easy, and there's whole swaths of these ranges there that people have not explored at all. So if the climb and ski on Mustagata goes good, then we'd like to stick around and do some exploration too. Great,
so that's perfect on that front. Another thing, we've got the 5-year anniversary of First Ascent coming up.
Yeah.
And you've been involved for a while in that. So tell me a little bit, how have you seen the brand evolve over those 5 years, and what's the most exciting part to you of having been involved with that?
It's really cool to see First Ascent hit the 5-year mark. I remember, I've been involved for almost 7 years now from the very beginning, and it's been a pretty smooth ride from my perspective. I'm sure there's little fits and starts, and I don't have anything to do with ordering color schemes and all that, which sounds really challenging. But from my perspective, getting the opportunity to do this, I'm just your run-of-the-mill mountain guide, and to get a opportunity to come on and develop really outstanding product, and to watch that product go from a basic lineup of functional clothing to really pushing the envelope and making some really cool stuff. We've been winning a lot of awards lately. Outside Magazine, Backpacker, and Polar Tech gave us an award last year. The packs, the gear, the clothing's all been firing away, and it's selling great, and it's just a really positive experience for me. I love this stuff.
Perfect. 50 words or less, what was your biggest adventure this year?
My biggest adventure this year was my 3rd trip to Everest. Yeah, and that's always a crazy adventure.